Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm taking a look at a unique one right here. This is the high-grade Phantom Gundam, and believe it or not, from the Universal Century. As usual, this video right here would not have been possible without those awesome people over at BUYEE, because this is P Bandai. Link in the description. So jumping right on into the aesthetics with the full 360 spin, and where do I start besides saying this is one of the most unique Gundams I've ever seen. It's like pea green with white and red and has the kind of crossbone Gundam kind of motif. And in a way it is kind of like a crossbone Gundam. So first off, I will mention, if you think this looks odd, this is the EMS TC02. Well, get a load of the EMS TC01. The Lalo. Yeah, this is looking a lot less odd now, relatively speaking. Honestly, I don't think there's a wackier Universal Century, I guess, like series out there compared to Crossbone, and what this is from, Crossbone Ghost. This is a very unique mobile suit. First off, there it is side by side with another kit. This is the RX-78-2, just to let you know that this is very, very small. In the usual Gundam F91, V Gundam, and of course, Crossbone Gundam late UC kind of way. Now I've seen some cool pictures of this particular Gundam in action, mainly when it's got the pink flaming effects coming out of it, which we will take a look at later. It is small, all the parts are extremely simple, but even besides that, it seems like the color separation on here is quite good. Now I will mention we do have a honking sheet of stickers in here, and the only ones I did use are the eyes. The white ones there, those are mainly for using around on the back. So Bandai's been doing this a lot lately, where they tend to keep most of the stickers for the backpack or around back, and that is what's going on here. We have a couple that are used for some vents, that is the red ones, but once again those vents are around back, and we've two of all of these because we do have a transforming mode for this particular mobile suit, but a lot of the transformed parts are actually duplicates on the runners, so instead of having to take this kit apart to get it into a transformed state, we do have a bit of a unit to attach all the parts onto, but that's for talking about later. As you can probably guess, this is straight build for the most part. I did do a little bit of pan lining to bring out the detail on some of the white, especially on the skull on the chest, which is very, very nicely done. But yeah, just popping up the line art there, you'll see that pretty much everything you want from this kit is there. It is a simple design. Simple before the flaming effect part's going to turn it into an absolute meteor of pink, but we'll talk about that later. As in, maybe right now. It's accessories time. So now jumping into the accessories, and here's what we get inside the box on top of the Phantom Gundam. Now what we've got here is a part for the transformed parts formation. On top of that, we've got some knives, we've got some kind of sawn-off shotgun, and then we've got some effect parts. You might be like, well, I expected some more effect parts than that. You get so many effect parts in this, it's ridiculous, as well as hands and a bunch of other stuff. I just realized I'm not laying all of this out, or it will take me absolutely forever. Let's get through pretty quickly, because this might be the most amount of stuff I've ever seen in a high-grade box. It's crazy. So as for the hands that we have in here, we've got these clenched widespread hands that I've had attached the whole time so far. These are incredibly dynamic and very nice. Swapping the hands out is super simple. You just pop them out just like so. Maybe they pop off a little too easily, honestly, and then the opposite, or should I say the alternate ones, pop in just like so. These ones right here being your typical average holding hands. Now let's get it holding something. So now moving into the weapons, and first off we've got a pair of flame swords. Now they mightn't look much like a flame sword just yet, but we've got some effects in here. The main sword segment is very basic like this. The rest of it is stored away inside of the side skirting, and you can pop that out just like so. And then you just attach that piece that was pulled out of the side skirt onto it just like so for the completed flame sword. And I guess it's time to get this a little more flamey. This attaches into the hand in the usual way, so sandwich style. Flush into the hand, won't move. You then attach the back of the hand on like so, and then the hand just pops on into the wrist like we would have seen before. Simple. So we've got two kind of flame effects for making this into the flame sword. There's the first one, it just pops on just like so, and this is a straight kind of flame beam effect. Definitely vigorous. And then we have a second one which pops on in the exact same way, just like so, and this one has a little bit of a curve, so it looks like a slashing effect. Now this is just a taste of how crazy this kit is going to get. So there's a quick pose of what the Phantom Gundam will look like with these weapons attached, and these look incredible. These are some awesome dynamic effects. First off, we've got this slashing one up front here, which really does have a slashing vibe. I like this. And then the straight one round back for a more kind of resting or static pose. These are really cool, and I will mention I know absolutely nothing about this particular manga, so reading what these do is really cool. On the Gundam wiki it says, these are powerful high-output beam sabers which utilize the same phantom-like mechanic as the mobile suit itself. By flushing the eye field against a beam shield or beam saber, the flame sword can destroy the eye field that holds the shape of the defending weapon. It can also be used as a heat sword by heating the device without emitting the beam. This can basically destroy beam sabers by destroying their eye field. That's cool. So on to the next weapon now, and that is the Butterfly Buster B, aka the same sort of weapon as we would have seen with the Crossbone X0. So that means it does the same awesome thing. First off, it's used as a gun, once again by popping it into the hand just like so, fits perfect, and then you just pop the back of the hand on like so. Popping into the wrist is exactly the same once again. I will mention the angle on this is a little bit on the awkward side. You can get it to actually work, so it does actually look like it's aiming it forward, but it would have been nice to get a bit of a curved wrist like we've seen in some of the previous Crossbone kits. But what makes the Butterfly Buster amazing is not the fact that it is a gun, it's the fact that you can pop off the front like so, slot this little bit up underneath just like that, and then you can actually attach this pretty big beam effect in there just like so, and make this into a pretty damn sizable sword just like that. That's pretty cool. So as well in here we also have an alternate head. Now I will mention you're able to use the top of the head on both of these, aka the part with the big flame effects up here. You can just swap the top of both heads around, but I'm just going to swap the entire head and finally attach on all of those pink phantom light effect parts. This is gonna look awesome. But before we do that, let's check out the articulation on this guy first, because those phantom lights will probably get in the way. So let's try out what kind of moves this thing can bust. So now jumping into the articulation and all of that. Now for the most part this is quite solid. I've had an issue once with the foot falling off, but I may not have had it attached right to be honest. But besides that, everything else is working out quite well. Giggity goo, polycap neck, so that does everything a polycap neck normally does, so everything works out there. The shoulder polycap is aligned to the front, so the arms move out to the front just like so. Usual ball and socket roll there. Full 360-degree spin. There is the arm all the way up, so it can go up just beyond parallel to the ground. We've got the full 360 spin then inside of that. There is that elbow bend, so double jointed, very good. And usual ball and socket joint. Whoops, that doesn't fall off too easily, a little bit easily. I've had them fall off a couple of times, but that was entirely my fault. Around back, these wings can move in and out as well as up and down like so. So there's them all the way up. We've got these little flap segments that can open up like so. Those can close up that far and they can move all the way in. So nice and expressive. So no ab crunch whatsoever or side to side in here, just rotation pretty much, yeah, definitely all the way around. The front skirting armors move up and down. These aren't ball joints, so it's just up and down. These giant side skirts can swing all the way back and forward, and we've got a little bit of pivot too. Paralyzed butt flap. The mechanism attaching the legs on is an up and down moving hip. Sounds for the kicks, there's the kick all the way up to the front. There it is out to the back quite blocked, and as for the splits, if you move those out of the way, you'll get pretty much it. Next up, full 360 spin at the upper leg. And as for the functional movement of the foot with the foot on the ground, yeah, that pops off quite a bit. So what we get to the back is about that before popping off. There it is all the way to the front, so not so bad. And as for the side-to-side pivot, it's there all the way over to there. And I'll also mention that this foot right here does have a downward pointing toe. Now, it also bends up as well. So yeah, when it comes to the articulation on this, it's about bog standard for a high grade. Maybe a high grade a few years ago. You'll get your basic poses out of it, but that's about it. It does have a bit of a weak joint at the upper thigh, so it does kind of flop a little bit, but on the whole, quite good. So it's finally time to get those phantom lights effect parts attached, and this was actually a little bit more involved than I thought it'd be. I thought you just attach them on, but there's a lot of parts to be removed. So we've got a whole chest section that comes off, and then you replace that with a section that has the phantom lights attached. The next part is probably the most awkward part of getting these all attached, and that is you have to actually remove the whole wide underside of the front skirting armors, and then you attach on ones, once again, with phantom lights attached onto them. Continuing on from here, there is more parts removal. You have to remove some white segments off the knees to attach on some more of these effect parts. We attach some around back into the thrusters. These don't require any removal, so that is simple. Next up on the sides of the giant side skirtings, we've got some massive phantom light effects. These attach on super simply. They clip on one side, then hold down with pressure around the other side. Next up, popping the entire white sections off the shoulders. This again is quite simple compared to some other parts, and you just slide on some segments, again with phantom lights attached. Down on the elbows, then we've got some more white segments that have to be removed, and phantom lights, guess what, attach on here too. Now we do have some stickers on the sticker sheet to go around these, so it still looks like they have the white segment attached, but I did not use those. Lastly then, flipping around to the back, we have the giant flame effect wings, which just pop on the way they usually do in these sort of kits. That is, we've got some pegs that attach into the upper segment of these, and then you just clamp down the lower segment of the wings to hold them in place. I then threw on the two burning flaming swords just to get the full effect going. And this thing is absolutely and utterly ridiculous looking. If you want a really unique gunpla in your kit that's some off-the-wall colors, this might be the one you're looking for. But swapping the parts out and back on again does involve quite a bit of effort and changing of parts. So lastly then, we have the transformation to the Mirage Wasso cruising form, and transformation is a little bit of a stretch of a term. This is more of a, we've got this segment right here, and then you absolutely dismember the Gundam itself and attach the parts on, so it's one hell of a parts formation. So basically you just pull a whole load of parts off the Gundam, stick them onto this little central aspect, which is, I guess, the transformed core, and then in the end what we get is this right here. Now, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of this myself. It doesn't really look much like a flight form of any kind, and the way you actually put together is very finicky, and you end up with tons of leftover parts, a lot of which are quite small and a loss risk. But I guess if you're a huge fan of the manga, maybe you want one to display as the Gundam, one to display as a flight form, you can do that, but it kind of feels like building it in a different mode as opposed to a transformation. I haven't seen a parts formation of this magnitude in quite some time. So just be aware, no smooth, fluid transformation, you need to tear it apart. So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and this kit to me, in a lot of ways, feels like a classic high grade. It's got a lot of old kind of feeling aspects. We do have quite a few stickers, most of which are to the back, so it doesn't matter too much. There isn't much in the lines of panel lines or details on the actual finished kit. And when it comes to the articulation, it is very limited, and there are some loose aspects here and there. But where this kit really does win is with the ridiculous amount of accessories and how unique they are. We've got those massive flaming swords with majestic effects, and we've got all of those phantom light effect parts, which are like nothing I have ever seen before. So I guess in the end, this falls right in the middle for me, getting silver tier, exactly what I expect from a high grade. Sure, it does drop the ball a little bit in some regards. If you don't like transformations that are parts formations, and you do want more from the actual Gundam form, then you may be a little let down. But if you want a kit with a whole bunch of options, don't mind pulling things apart, sticking them back together, this might just be the kit for you. Once again, link in the description, I got mine through BUYEE. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. As always, this video and every video would not be possible without each and every one of you guys who watches my videos. And special thanks to those of you who are supporting me over on Patreon and on the channel members, including Caleb Engelhart, Global Frequency Studios, Go Little Rockstar, Gunpla UK Limited, Joe, Kill Me Inc., Lawrence Seahack, RG59061, and Van Fawn.